this, the address of this portion of the building behind you, number 25, had three important offices. One was the office of Harriet Jacobs and her brother ran an anti-slavery reading room. And so far from what I'm able to pick up, that's like a place where you come and look at what they have. There's going to be a whole lot of stuff as in a public library today, but you probably pay a few cents and you could read all day. Harriet and her brother were originally from Edenton, North Carolina. And Harriet was separated from some of her family. That's the way slavery was, of course. But she fell up under a woman who liked her, who treated her as a human being, who taught her to read and write and to sew and things like that, and promised that upon her death, on the death of this woman, Harriet would be set free. When the woman died, the will was read. Harriet had been given to the niece of the descendant. And the niece had a daddy who was a doctor. And I don't know whether he was gynecologist or not, but he sure had a Jones on about Harriet, who was about 14 or 15 when she fell up under him. And but he said, look here, girl, I'm going to give you some of this and some of that. You just come on around to my office tonight after dark. He was married and had, and as I say, his daughter, who was a little girl, was now the de facto owner of Harriet, but it was Daddy who was running things. Harriet resisted, ran away. She holed up in her grandmother's house. Her grandmother baked and sewed them fine dresses for them ladies, and long she didn't do all that stuff. She was, quote, free. So Harriet hid in her attic 7 years. Wow. Presumably she would come down at night and maybe get a little exercise, but the fact is she injured her body. She was never really able to sit up or walk straight again. But she did escape. She stopped in Philadelphia first, New York City. She became a nanny, a bunch of things. Her brother, who had escaped earlier, and she teamed up to start the anti-slavery reading room right here. So she's in this building in 1859-60. And the main resident of the building is the North Star, the Frederick Douglass paper, and so on. This is where Frederick Douglass really published his newspaper and subsequent journals. He had done the first edition at the AME Zion Church, which is about 3/4 of a mile that way. We will pass it on the way to the cemetery. We'll pass the location. However, he didn't really know that much about nothing about printing. In fact, he is self-educated himself in a number of things, but printing was not what he had. And it was wet in the basement, it was moved up here. Still had problems with the press, but eventually he hired a couple guys to do it, and finally it was printed by one of the daily newspapers until we got too busy to read and editor and publish it. And eventually, even though man, Peter was willing to back it, it just wasn't to be continued. But we have all that going on in this building, and the front of it is very much like it was. Some paneling has been changed. The career, I'm told, is like it was in the 19th century. So this is a critical landmark, and perhaps one day we'll be able to make a affordable deal with some of the occupants and set up something that is worth going inside to see. Okay, questions?
Why do they have to state birthday as 1821? Or did they uncover some documents or something?
I don't know. That is. My apologies. I never. It's down here as the birth year of Frederick Douglass is 1821, and in fact, you know it was 18.
Well, he thought it was 1817. He estimated, but it turns out it was 1818.
Right. And isn't it really something to marvel at? Enslaved people are kept away from information about themselves, lest they begin to think of themselves as people. He reasoned. And this, ladies and gentlemen, is critical to why we ought to be addicted storytellers. We've got to tell stories, because from stories that went on around him, his grandmother, maternal grandmother, and from others that he met along the way, this is what got him to probe and to put things together. He probably heard, I'm speculating now, he probably heard that there was a big storm, they called it a hurricane, come along in 1870. And that's the year this young one was born. Something like that might have taken place. Clues coming from the stories, which were not just entertaining, but are educating, putting a foundation down that a kid can learn. Whatever you go teach them in the school begins with an educational foundation they learn. All right?